Title of this poem is called Life is Precious. His eyes are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their cries. His eyes are focused on his children, and he watches them from his throne on high. His ears are listening. They are fine-tuned to the voices of his children. And breath after breath and word after word, we are dying to go to heaven, looking for heavenly buildings. He that planteth the ear, shall he not hear? Shall he not hear the voice of Angela Cook, the mother of Rodney Elijah Love, who rarely let her son go outside to play? She bussed her son to school in the valley at 5 a.m. every morning and had dreams of her son going to college someday. And one day, her son had a friend over, and reluctantly, this mother allowed them to go outside in front of her apartment, believing her son would be safe. And she looked out the window twice and took a nap, only to be awoke by the sound of gunshots. And she looked in the streets, and that was the beginning of that unforgettable day. She called 911 only to get recordings, and finally she got on her knees, grabbed her son's hand, and prayed. And I quote Angela Cook, "I watched the life leave his body." As his eyes rolled back, her 15-year-old son died in her hands while the police wouldn't allow ambulances to attend unto her son until they determined the crime scene was safe. Dear God, we are killing each other. When will we learn how to behave? Hear my prayer, O Lord, and let my cry come unto thee. Hide not thy face from me in the day when I am in trouble. Incline thine ear unto me in the day when I call. Answer me speedily. Were you there when he heard the cries of Levon, the sister of young Eric Mandeville, who both grew up in foster care? Levon turned 18 and adopted her brother, two children of a drug-abusing mother who wasn't able to be there. And as Eric worked minimum wage at McDonald's so he and his sister could afford an apartment in Long Beach, he walked to the store on April 22nd, 2007 to buy some cigarettes when his 20-year-old was gunned down in the streets. And LeVron cried, "He was all I had left in this world. I seen him come to me in a vision, and he began telling me who was responsible for his killing. In my distress, I cried unto the Lord, and he heard me. And he heard the voice of a father and a mother and a family and friends as the news reports of 10 to 30 girls involved in a street brawl believed to be over a man. On Slauson and Western, a pregnant Shantae Blanche, 22 years old, was reportedly ran over with the car and drugged to her death. And her father and her husband weep behind prison bars on the date of November 5th, 2007, as they were unable to physically be there to see her take her last breath. And I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. I said, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. Help. Help. As the eyes of God must have been filled with tears as Cheyenne, a 5-year-old, stood in a room full of people and she wonders why these reporters are all here. August 25th, 2006, on a 4300 block of Western, while sitting in a car, 23-year-old Ashley Cheval was killed. And as reporters sat in the room, Cheyenne, her 5-year-old daughter, points at a poster and says, "That's my mommy. That's my mommy." And takes a pen and writes her mother's name in the reporter's notebook. And I ask you, America, how does that make you feel? And I ask you, gangbangers, how does that make you feel? And I ask every man that lives this life of violence with no regard for anybody else but his own, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel tough to carry that gun and shoot at innocent bystanders? Does it make you feel tough to live this life of this you Al Capone or Carlito trying to find his own way? How does that make you feel, hearing the voice of victims speak? Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I cry myself to sleep at night. I feel like a motherless child. Take heed that you despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. And imagine the weeping eyes of the angel that cries for these children who die so young, the angels of the Lord that represent these children weeping as they stand before the face of the Lord God in heaven. Barbara Pritchard, who doesn't know how she is going to make it through the holidays. It's been 6 months now and she quits her job and just tries to live day to day. Who knew that Devin Harris would be at a bus stop where two parties were arguing? And as he boarded that bus, who knew that an angry car full of people were following? On 114th and Central Avenue, Devin would be gunned down after stepping off an MTA bus. 15-year-old Devin was shot in the head, and 6 months later, his mother is still torn. So I cry on this paper and let the pain and tears of these people gush, because I have a dream of a day when mothers no longer have to cry. And I have a dream where there's an end to violent homicides. I have a dream where fathers hug their sons and guns vanish away, because I have a dream of nations of people going to heaven someday. 732 homicides in Los Angeles and County this year alone. 282 between the ages of 20 and 24. 165 between the ages of 10 and 19 years old. 116 between the ages of 30 and 39 years old. 244 were black. 396 were Hispanic. And 641 out of 732 victims were male. 578 by gunshot wounds, 120 killed on Saturday, and on Sunday when we should be at church, 175 were killed. Does this ever get old? See, I have a dream where God's church takes the time to minister to children one by one, and I have a dream where God's church loves the lost children and offers them an answer to dropping these guns, because I have a dream that the rags will drop. And I have a life to put on the line to see that that dream comes to pass. Because my life is nothing, but it is beautiful in the presence of the Lord. So who will we cry for next? Statistics say that I'm a high risk, being 24 years old, black and male. Who will feel the pain? Will we ignore the voices that cry unto us from the grave, the mothers who weep for their children, the kids that have lost a parent, the father who's lost a son, the brother who's lost a sister? Do you hear the voices of the slain? What will you do about it? Life is precious, man. What will you do about it? Life